Hello everybody and welcome along to round 6 of the GT3 Masters, the 6th running. So the 6th race to the 6th running of the GT3 Masters. Penultimate race in the series. And it's looking a little bit damp at Imola today. Throughout the week it's been 80% wet and 20% dry. Well, we've got the 80% in practice, but qualifying's just about to tick over. So fingers crossed for the drivers, it's wet. Here we go. And we're going to wait. Okay, we'll have to wait 4 minutes. While that's happening, introduction to our bigger commentary box today here at Imola. I've managed to fit somebody else in. One of the competitors is with us. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, everyone. It's me. It's Jack.
Oh, no.
How are you? Hello.
Why aren't you racing, man?
Problems. That's all. I won't get into it, but unfortunately I've had to pull out of the series. But I can stand by the sidelines for this round. Hopefully I'll be back in the driver's seat for the final round at Spa. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, fingers crossed, mate. But in the meantime, great to have your expertise in the commentary box with us today.
Lovely to be here. Thank you.
So we'll pull on Jack's experience as we go through the evening. We're just waiting for the time to tick down for practice to go over into qualifying. So while we've got Jack, what's your thoughts of Imola, mate? Is it one of your favourite tracks? One of your least favourite tracks?
I wouldn't say it was one of my favourite, but it's definitely a liked track for me. It's a track that I like. It's a track that I usually go fairly well around. I would like to say. I'm just happy that it's raining finally for once this season. You know, we did have potential for weather variation all season long, and we haven't quite got it. We saw a little bit of the rain come down in Watkins Glen.
Yeah,
but it really wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to really give any meaningful strategy or race-defining calls from any of the competitors. But this, finally, now looks like we're going to have a proper wet race here at Imola.
Indeed, they're out for qualifying. You can see the track is described in their settings as wet, and it's still raining, but it is still raining, so that's not going to change, I don't think, for the next 15 minutes. So hopefully their qualifying setups take into account the weather. I'm pretty sure they've been practicing with wet weather setups all week, but now's their time to try them out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have seen a lot of varied conditions in the practice server, both bone dry and very wet. So I think it would be very unprofessional for anybody to go into this just fingers crossed hoping for a dry race. That'd be quite naive. It was looking like it could be a very high possibility of being a wet race. So everybody should have at least done some practice and perhaps some setup work for these conditions.
Just noticed the two WRT boys, Deprataire and Dhoore, out the pits very quickly, but straight past them on track. James Mead, desperate to get on with this.
Taking no prisoners, James.
Taking no prisoners at all. Already, even on the outlap, built a 2 or 3 second gap just to give himself a little bit of room from the guys behind.
I think it's more of a visual strategy as well from James here, because having this many cars in the server in these conditions, leaving a few second gap is all fine and well to not be disrupted, but when you take into consideration the spray being kicked up on track, it really hinders visibility. So James got the jump on everyone here, having a clear track ahead of him.
That's a good point, very good point. That's why we have to be in the commentary box, mate, for insights like that. But you're quite true. Real life is no different from what we've got in front of us here, and that, as you say, the visibility will really help James. Here we go. First flying lap for Mead. Over the start finish line he goes, and down into what was the old Tamburello corner, now the Tamburello chicane. Obviously got no deltas to look at the moment. It's been the first lap, so why don't we have a quick board with James just so you can see exactly what he's going through.
Great camera angle, this. I love this one.
It is very good. Up the hill, you can see there's a bit of a line there, not particularly great one, but there is a line, so with 20 odd cars flying around. That will soon make life a little bit easier. Nice control through there. And then the treacherous Acqua Minerale comes down the hill. Gear shift through there. Make sure you get it stopped. It is so greasy down the bottom of that. Up the hill. How much curb do they take? There's the question.
Certainly in the dry, you take a lot of curb here. James still going for a fair chunk of the curb despite these weather conditions.
So a good lap this for me. No obvious time losses so far. I'm sure you'll find places to go quicker, but this should be a representative lap, if nothing else. And he comes over the start finish line. He'll be looking around the 150s. He goes through a 149.765. That's not a bad way to start the day for James Mead. And you can see already De Keyser and Deprataire already 3/10 and almost a whole second off, and then the times start rolling through. Max Beyer there in a Nissan, just outside the 150, or just outside the 149s, rather 150.042. Arella goes through, coasting a nice lap in the Ferrari there. The only Ferrari in the series, I believe. So, yeah, cracking job there is Tommy. Oh no, got some of the TSR boys are using the Ferrari, I think, as well. Nick Quicklander, of course, is using the Ferrari, not one of the TSR boys. One of the intense racing boys, David Dhoore. Got loads of traffic in front of him on this lap, as you can see. There's a lot of green deltas already starting to fly in. As does the track improve with this sort of rain coming down? Will they get a better line as time goes on? We'll see. Down into Acqua Minerale. Oh, and you can see just how greasy it is as the door slides it off to the weather strip on the side. So that's his lap done. Arella though is half a second up as he comes through the final corner. Currently 150.2. James Mead improves, goes 149.1 for James Mead. That's a cracking lap. De Keyser at 149.7. Arella at 149.7. They're starting to improve. I'm guessing it'll just be a case of fill it and drive, I suppose. Max Beyer also a couple of tenths up on this lap, although he is only just through first sector. Quickest car in the first sector so far is Miguel Santiago Carew, a 23.2, and that's 3/10 at least faster than most of them, apart from James Mead, who's almost on the same time. Quickest in sector 2, De Keyser, 35.3, which matches Mead as well, and then James Mead 50.5 in the last sector, which is at least 2/10 faster than anybody else. So James obviously knows those final two corners. Beyer's big Nissan able to mince those curbs. 6/10 up currently. So we're going to 149. Well, sorry, 149.4s, which will put him in second, but still a couple of tenths off Mead, unless he can find some extra time through these corners. Nice through there, not too greedy. 3/4 of a second up for Beyer. This will put him second. And indeed, there he goes, a 49.287 as Mead pops into the 148s now, 148.9. So, despite the rain coming down and the puddles on the track, it obviously is responding to 20, 30, how many people got in service today? 35 cars flying around.
I have returned. Sorry for my absence.
No, that's okay. I was just saying, would 35 cars flying around in this weather make a difference to conditions, the track conditions?
I mean, that's a lot of cars. I mean, that's gonna dissipate the water off of the racing line somewhat, especially with them all going round this close to each other in succession. So they should notice significantly more grip on the racing line, which is not quite right in terms of real life performance, but in ACC that's how it works.
So would it be a case of fill it and drive then, I take it, for the whole qualifying?
Oh, that's a good question actually, because you won't see much degradation on the tyres, I would imagine, on the wet tyres. So you might as well, I guess, stay out and maximise your time spent on track, monitoring the tyre pressures and temperatures, try and keep them within the best peak operating window. But then, you sacrifice performance, mainly in the braking, by filling the car with more fuel. You definitely have a easier time braking with lighter fuel, less fuel on board.
It goes through. Just watch out for him. It will improve here, but not by much. But he was so quick. He was about 3.5 tenths up as he came to that final chicane. So there's time there for Beyer. So he'll go back and sort his car out and go back out for another run. But there's more time in that car as well. Teammates just going through there. Radek Pavlicek moves up to 7th.
Good job, Radek. What a fantastic livery that is, isn't it? Not biased at all. That's great effort from Radek.
Is that all your input? The livery?
No, this is completely Radek's handiwork.
Oh, really?
I have nothing to do with it, so full credit goes to Mr. Pavlicek.
He's a very clever lad, because they do look so distinctive and so eye-catching. They are very good.
No, he'll be happy with that so far. I'm sure others will improve also, but he had been mentioning he'd really been struggling in the wet with the Audi, as did Bram as well. He mentioned that he's really struggling with the Audi in these conditions around Imola, so to be able to put it in the top 10 so far for Pavlicek, he'll be happy with that.
And you can see Deprataire currently down in 11th. He is quicker this lap, but only by 4 tenths. That'll still put him in the likes of Radek and teammate David Kaiser. Don't forget James Mead also driving the Audi, so he's finding some pace somewhere. Must be a magic button, the Mead button. So Deprataire continuing to improve, half a second up. This will put him into the 49.7s between Pavlicek and De Kaiser. There he goes, into 7th. Displacing Radek down to 8th. And all of a sudden, the times have started to go a lot more red than green. One person who is on a lap, Jody Barraclough, 3 tenths up at this stage as he comes to the end of the lap. If he can keep this up, this will put him into the top 10. Across the line very shortly, get a nice tow. Barraclough does improve and does make it into the top 10, just ahead of Santiago Carew now. Fills out
by Jod.
Yeah,
he's really found his rhythm,
he is.
Started off the season and I think he was confident, and then I think like most people was struck with the fact that there's so many quick competitive guys in this championship, and it's humbling for a lot of people.
It is, yeah.
And but Jod's really found his stride with that M4.
Yeah, a
started
few,
to put some really strong performances.
a few people at the start of the season were, thinking they'll get quite a lot out of this season, and like you said, they've had to take a little bit of a humble pie on board. But yeah, Jod's only seems to have got better and better each race, so like I say, top 10 in qualifying at the moment. That's a cracking shout. And Dhoore was up on that lap but pulls over. Obviously got the chicane wrong and was losing time down the straight, so Dhoore pulls over.
How much time do we have left in qualifying, Martin?
We have 6 minutes.
6 minutes left. Interesting. So the weather is the rain is easing off as the session goes on. So people might be taking note of that, thinking, okay, I can quickly reset back to the pits, slap on a new set of wets, fill the car with just enough fuel for the remaining of the session, maybe 8 minutes worth of fuel, go out and try and get their best potential lap in with potentially the least wet track conditions. It depends how saturated the track is. It's starting to look pretty wet now after having been raining for the past 40 minutes during the practice and qualifying session. So
yeah, there is a line there, but like you said, offline it's looking pretty puddly, for want of a better word.
And as we look forward to the race, it could potentially, just looking at the forecast there in the top right hand corner, could be dry, could not be raining.
Well, yeah, 30 minutes time, clouds, although it follows a thunderstorm. Right. So interesting.
We'll have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see.
That'd be interesting, actually, if they come out onto track to sun and a very wet track. That would make for a very interesting grid.
I would love that. Changing conditions are excellent conditions because all of the practice that you've done, all of the setups that you've been working on and tweaking, they don't go out the window, but they kind of get pushed to the side, and it's all about thinking on your feet, feeling out the car, making the correct decisions at just the right moment, you know? So we could be on for a cracking here tonight, Martin.
Fillingham went through, improved to 7th. So good showing from him. Him and Arella 5th and 7th for Team 77. We will go through the current standings when qualifying comes to an end. This is just a bit too exciting to cover over with graphics, unfortunately. So James Mead, another 3/10 he's found here. That's why. Train line in the curbs.
I won't be surprised if that cancelled his lap. Invalidated his lap.
Yeah, that first curb was a little bit on the edge, wasn't it?
Yeah, quite far over the edge. We'll see. Maybe this is where he's finding all of this extra time.
Yeah, well, it's 4/10 here, so if he puts this in, this will undoubtedly give him pole, I should imagine. Crosses the line, 48.9 becomes 48.6, so that's where it counted. It was that jump over the curb.
Fantastic lap there again by Mead.
Arella also on a good lap, currently 2/10 up. So this will push him maybe ahead of Dhoore. We'll see. No, just behind by 3/1000ths of a second. So Mead from Beyer, Dhoore, Arella, Von Sond, De Keyser, Fillingham, Deprataire, Havlicek and Barraclough. Everyone out on track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those drivers currently in the green. So expect a few changes, but I wouldn't expect any sort of changes up front. I know we said Max had a bit more time in that Nissan, but I don't think he's got half a second in it.
I was just about to ask, where is our current GT3 Masters champion Bulcke, but he just put in a lap and put him up into 7th position.
Indeed, yeah, I didn't notice his name up there at all, but you're right, he's obviously just put that in. Teammate Dhore's been thundering around for a few laps, and Bulcke's now up into 7th. No surprise to see Jody Barraclough, Barrack Hunt up there right behind him, and Tommy Coaster, and those 3 or 4, Santiago Credem and Zander Hunzig, those guys have been battling out every single race. That's their own little section of the grid for those 4. I should imagine Ian Paskin will appear in there at some point as well. Paskin currently sat down in 20th. Mackenberg and the Bentley and Christian Groet down there 17th and 19th. Those two did a 12-hour race yesterday around Indianapolis in very similar conditions, so they'll be used to the weather. I don't know if they did it in the Bentley, but they'll certainly be used to the weather and how the tyres react to it. Arella jumps up to third, cracking lap from Ralf. 2 tenths off, or nearly 3 tenths off of Mead. So Mead's lap not looking quite as impenetrable as I thought it was, but still, he's got it by 2 tenths currently. Although Van Sond up there is a tenth and a half up on this lap already in second. So all of a sudden, they're flying. 1 minute 10 to go. This will be their last chance. Arella currently just one person who is flying though is David Dhoore. 3 tenths up on this lap. We need to find a bit more as well though if he needs to get ahead of the guys he was ahead of just a minute ago.
Here he goes, Binnersley in front. I wonder if he'll hinder him through the last 2 corners.
Bulcke as well, 7 tenths up already after 30 seconds of this lap, so watch out for Cliff making a jump. Max 6 tenths up, and he is a lot further around the track, so I'll jump to him in a bit, but David Dhoore goes through. This is going to put him up to around, wow, jumps ahead of, he's found a lot of time that last 2 corners, and David Dhoore goes second. We said about Beyer. Going to come across the line. This is going to improve. I don't know how much it's going to help him. He might even go pole with this. Keep your eyes open, boys.
Pole position.
Look at that. I said James Mead's time was uncatchable. Well, I was wrong because Max has just caught it. Mead's just starting his final lap, so I'll jump to him in the end. Cliff Bulcke currently 7 tenths up as well.
Going to be close.
It is going to be close. This
Could
looks
be an
like
intense
it.
racing 1-2.
This looks like it could be provisional pole for Bulcke, and he does it. 48.4.
Max has abandoned his lap, or he was in the pits already. James, no, who's
De Kaiser a second up, goes third.
So the track clearly evolving.
Here's Mead. He's actually on his own time, just 100th off his own time currently.
Will they be greedy here?
Oh,
same as last time,
bit squirrely on the exit. He's lost a 10th there. The only other person on track currently is Yves Van Sond, about 5 seconds behind James Mead. He's on his own time as well. And Mead just lost a 10th for that final corner. It doesn't look like he's going to improve. Same story for Yves Van Sond in 6th. So there's your grid, I think, as Mead goes across the line. That was an intense last couple of minutes. Bulcke, Beyer, De Kaiser, Mead, Dhoore, Van Sond, Arella, Barraclough, Santiago Carew and Deprataire down there in 10th. I did say James Mead wouldn't be caught, and then 3 people went past him. Wow.
Excellent qualifying session there. Nail-biting stuff.
Alright, we have some wind conditions.
And the rain is coming down for the race. We have a wet race. So they should be used to that now with their qualifying.
Yeah, I wonder if the forecast will update once the session start timer counts down to 0, or if this is the forecast. Because if the forecast stays as it is right now, we'll have much lighter rain within 10 minutes, and then the rain will stop apparently in 30 minutes.
Then it'll be just how quickly or who makes the right decision about going from wets to dries if we get to that stage before the next part of the forecast comes in. So keep an eye on that box top right, just above the GT3 master symbol. You'll see the little timer with the rain clouds. That's your current forecast, 10 minutes ahead and 30 minutes ahead. And that'll give you an idea of what weather is coming in. That does change, so keep an eye on it.
And this is exactly what will be going through all the drivers' heads at the minute. They'll be liaising with their teammates and with Google to find out what is the best probability, what is the best setup to go with. Do you go with an all-wet setup because that is the current race conditions that you have? Do you look ahead to the forecast and think, okay, I think it's going to go dry and stay dry, the track should dry out, and go with a dry setup and compromise the first 20 minutes of your race with the dry setup in the wet? Or do you go with a compromise setup, somewhere in between the dry and wet setup, and have potentially the best of both worlds, but suboptimal also for both? Everyone will be scrambling frantically right now, trying to work out what's best to do. And it'll be interesting to see if some of the teams split the setup on their cars to try and maximize the performance of at least one of their cars on the track.
I'm guessing this where your team channels and your radio between the two drivers really helps.
That's it, exactly, yeah.
One person not qualifying today had a no qualifying penalty. That was Phil Clark, who's down there at the back of the grid. Nick Campbell as well alongside him at the back, so those two will be bringing up the rear, which might not be a bad thing going through the chicane at turn 1 and 2. We did have a quick look at the Drivers' Championship. Let's quickly go back to that. You can see Max Beyer, after his last couple of races, really pushing those guys at the front. He's currently sat third and obviously on second on the grid today. And just behind him, pole sitter Cliff Bulcke, champion last time out in the GT3 Masters last series. So as we come to the back end of the season, it's all getting very interesting. David Dhoore always there as well, keeping his teammate company at the top there. James Mead, you can see there in 6th, so a point behind him yourself, Jack, so this must be killing you seeing this going on.
Yes, it is.
Sorry. Typical twatty commentator remark. There you go.
No, it's quite all right. I realised this after my bit of a nightmare race last round out at Bathurst. That really hurt me. But this hurts even more sitting on the sidelines. Although this is a bit of a silver lining, we able to sit here and share the booth with you, Martin.
Oh, bless. And the AM Cup, just for those amateur drivers at the midfield of the grid, Tommy Coaston in that Ferrari 150 just behind him. We were talking about John Barraclough earlier. Good performances from him, seeing him in there 147. Mark Bosman there 124, and there's a bit of a gap then back to Vanima, Manojlovic, Lansley, Berg. I can't believe I'm reading some of these names out in the AM Cup, but there you go. Berg's went down there in 8th. Rude Dennis, Sam Cockayne there as well. So all those guys will be looking to score some big points and make a big difference in their standing in the AM Cup as well.
Cliff will be really happy with himself, I think, for getting on this pole position. Correct me if I'm wrong, Martin, but I don't think that Cliff has been on the pole.
No, the WRT guys have pretty much maxed out a pole position. Going through the series. So Cliff's been up there in the first two grid slot, like the first two grid rows rather. But I think, as you say, this will be his first pole, and it was a cracking lap there at the end.
Yeah.
So
yeah, thoroughly deserved by Cliff. He needs this. He needs a really solid result this weekend. He's doing well in the championship, but I get the feeling, as the defending champion, not as well as he would have liked. I think he would have liked to have been up there in the mix with the front runners in WRT, mixing it up as well with Max Beyer, of course, in the Grizzly Racing team. But it's just not been. He's just not had the opportunity, or has been involved in something hindering his potential finishes this far. So, provided he can get a good start and get a good lunch and keep his cool and just get into a rhythm nice and quickly, he's got a good chance of staying in front here. It's not going to be easy to overtake Imola, especially in these conditions.
And as you rightly said, he's going to have that advantage of a nice clear track in front of him as well if he can get that start.
That's it. I mean, he and Max are going into turn 1 through the chicane. they're gonna have the best, because they're gonna presumably pick one side of the track opposite to each other and have a fairly clear line of sight of where the apex is. But for De Keyser, Mead, and everybody else behind, they're going to be in the spray of the cars ahead and have a much harder time. So fingers crossed, everybody just takes it easy. We've got 90 minutes of racing coming up, so no need for heroics, especially through the first couple of laps. But let's buckle up here.
Come through the kink. And there'll be another kink as well, and come across the grid slots. You see the lights. Seems so far away down this straight. Listen for the engine note.
Green line. Give it all you
There they go. Good start from Beyer, good start from Bulcke as well. Mead, De Keyser close as well, side by side. Looks like Beyer's got a run on Bulcke into turn 1, but they're safely through. So Beyer leads from Bulcke. James Mead 3rd, De Keyser 4th, Dhoore up to 5th, or down to 5th rather. He's on Son 6th, Arella 7th. Deprataire just got past Barraclough for 8th, Barraclough 9th, Santiago Cruz 10th. Then Mackenberg, Fillingham.
That's right. Mead all over the back of Bulcke there, made the move on the inside. Bulcke's lost 2 positions there.
So ignore the TV telling you left, you're right, Jack. That is Dhoore in front of teammate. That is Bulcke in front of teammate Dhoore as De Keyser and Mead bullied their way through. Tower just sorting itself out now for timing. So there's your lead. Beyer, Mead, De Keyser, Bulcke, Dhoore.
Struggling for grip there. Even his teammate now, Dhore's going to have the run. I wonder if team orders. Yep, they come into play here. Dhore's backed out.
All closing speeds as they all go through the chicane. Coasting like had a look up the inside there, further back. There's no yellow flags though yet. Oh, there is. I lied. And Coaston tried to take that curve. I thought he did, and he's parked it right in the middle of the track there. So no look for him. Back up front. James Mead, you can see already 1.3 off the back of Beyer after those initial scuffles. De Keyser then 3rd, and you can see already the gaps.
I think it's stopped raining, Martin, or if it is raining, it's only very, very slight. It looks like we're going to have the rain will stop very shortly.
Bulcke all over the curbs there. He's lost more time.
Really struggling at the beginning of this race. I think that this race starts this season have not been Bulcke's forte, unfortunately for him. But once he gets into a rhythm, he battles back through the pack.
Yeah, do you know what? We talk about how much he needed that start. I just wonder how much nerves played a part in that, because
yeah. I think when you have the GTR as well of Max, who's quite confident in that car. Big, heavy car, probably feels quite nice in the way, actually, very, very planted. He just absolutely nailed the start and was alongside Cliff straight away before the run into the chicane. So he's been very hesitant not to make contact, and perhaps just a little bit too hesitant. It just gave Max the place, and now he's got everybody else crawling over the back of him. And we'll see. Hopefully, he can regain his composure and start to put in some faster laps. But teammate Dhoore now has been lit past, and he seems to have found better form already with this Aston Martin.
so you can see on the left, Beyer currently ahead by 1.6 ahead of Mead. De Keyser just a second off Mead, and then 2.8 back to Dhoore. So after 2 laps, the front 3 checked out, and Dhore's job is to keep them in touch, and just as Jack said, wait for that weather to change. You can see the track not as wet as it was in qualifying, certainly glistening, but there's no puddles, no obvious puddles anyway from what we can see. That's a really good shot just to show you the track conditions. Further back, Deprataire now hassling Cliff Bulcke as well. And then just behind him, Jod Barraclough as well.
Maybe we can go on board with Jod just now and we can get a visual representation of just how much spray is getting kicked up from the cars in front.
So not too bad actually.
Yeah, it's certainly calmed down a bit. So everyone's going to be thinking now, okay, so it's wet now. They'll be keeping an eye on their tyre temperatures and pressures, making sure to try and keep them within the window. But as soon as these tyres start to overheat, they're going to lose a lot of grip and things will become very difficult. And provided the track stays dry, that'll be the cue to see probably quite a lot of pit stops fairly early. People switching over to the dries. Oh, as the intense racing car of Bulcke, they're going wide at Aquaman Rally.
He's struggling out there, isn't he? I wonder if he's... Oh, would he have changed his setup, do you think, to maybe take advantage of that dry weather that's coming in?
The other thing is, we don't know what tyres he's on. Maybe he's on dry tyres.
That's a really good point.
Has he gambled? Has Cliff gambled to avoid pitting? And is he could be fuel saving, but I mean, there is one mandatory pit stop to be made, so I don't know if that's the optimal strategy, but it is one that could be happening, but surely not. I don't think anyone that's going to be running on the dry tyres, far too wet at the start of the race to start on dry tyres.
Yeah, he's not been sideways, he's just got a few... Well, I say that, it was sideways for Aquaman Rally, but who knows? It's a really good point. I'll watch out for Bulcke because it's unlike him to drop down quite that much unless he has damage. You can see the weather forecast. It was 30 minutes it's dry. Now you can see that's already been revised down to 10 minutes. So still rain falling.
But you could be onto something there, though, Martin, with the setup. Perhaps he's running a dry setup, which would naturally be a lower setup. So maybe it is the curbs that he's struggling with. Maybe he's bottoming out on the curves because the car is too low. So that might come into play and come back to him. The race might come back to him if it starts to dry out. If everybody else is running a wet setup, you know, a more highly set chassis compared to Cliff's potentially lower.
Fortunately, no markings on the tyre, so we can't see exactly what he's put on there. But it certainly seems grippy enough through those corners, which would mean...
Phil Clark, you just noticed, after starting in the pits in the Honda, up to P23 now.
Good start from Phil, you're right. Already behind
Stay out of trouble.
Manojlovic and Bergsma, so cracking start from him. Andre Moll's got his own little battle going on at the back here. Graves, Wicklander, Moll, posting and recovering in that Ferrari. And spinner there's Graves, I think. And Wicklander as well, sat on the outside curve there. So 6 is now 4.
I think that was Wicklander just too late on the brakes there, went into the back of Graves, unfortunately.
So Moll looks like he's missed any carnage, hopefully. BMW looks fairly intact. That's through Dennis behind him.
With Dennis with the drift.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back to the Deprataire, Barraclough, Santiago Carew. Just in front of them, Ralf Arella, all battling 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. You can see in the distance Von Son there in 5th and Dhoore over the hill in 4th. Dhoore keeping the gap to De Keyser in front, around 2.5 seconds. That's where he's been pretty much for the last few laps. So Dhore's stopped the rot there. Beyer's keeping the lead out in front, 2 mead at 2 seconds. So they've all calmed down in the... Barraclough just runs a bit wide there. Santiago Carew is now in 8th position.
So nobody pulling away like crazy at this moment in time, which is nice to see. Everyone's still sort of a couple of seconds between each other, but no one running away with this. Max is, you know, maybe he's just taking it easy, making sure not to put any wheel wrong. Probably say the same for a lot of the front runners.
Mead made a mistake at the final corner.
Oof. will De Keyser make a move here? I think he might. It's on the inside. I think he's going to take it. Yeah,
He lets him go.
James is backed out. Yeah. So we have a dry forecast for the next half an hour. This is awesome.
There you go. It
This is
stopped raining.
This is what we want.
It stopped raining.
This is what the drivers want.
So now we'll see whose strategies will pay out as James Mead drifts it through the Villeneuve chicane there.
Track temperature rising now as well, though it's stopped raining. So who will be the first to make their pit stop? And will they change to dry tyres? Or will they try and ring out and try and go for as long as possible on these wets to see if any rain is coming further into this race?
Can I bump up Jack's volume a bit? There we go, let's do that for you.
More of me.
More of you, less of me. Okay, I got it.
No, not less of you, just more of me.
There you go. Let's see how that sounds.
How's
for you
that,
guys.
folks? Can you hear me?
Somebody in chat saying you can tell if they're on the dries if you see the Pirelli logo on the tyre wall.
All right, maybe that's the case for Martin Hughes' Majestical free cam action.
Well, can you see it going that quickly? And do we want to give anything away?
Maybe we don't. Maybe we can wait and see if anyone has an off, and see if we can see anything written on this tire wall of their cars.
Comments in the chat for us, guys. How long do you think Cliff Bulcke will be out on this set of tyres?
What set of tires do you think Cliff Bulcke is on, everybody?
Yeah.
Has he taken a gamble, or is he just struggling with the setup and the conditions?
Out in front though, Max Beyer 2.5 seconds ahead there of the cars you can see just going through, and then Mead, Dhoore, Von Sond, Arella all split up now.
Interestingly now, Max, you just saw a little glimpse there in the front. He's already starting to catch some of the unfortunate cars that may perhaps been involved in an accident. So back markers already coming into play only on the 7th lap of this race.
Oh, Max. Oh, did he go there?
Oh, he saved it.
Kept it in play. He had a view of all parts of the track then for a second, but he kept it together. That's cut the lead down to 1.4 now. Suddenly De Keyser can see a little glimmer of hope.
This is why we love these conditions, the changing conditions, because it's just so unpredictable with the track evolution. Anything can and most likely will happen.
So how long do you think they'll get before their tyres start to balloon? 5, 6, 7 laps? You can already see the dry line starting to appear on the track, actually.
Yeah, it totally depends. Depends on driving style, setup, more than anything. But you see a few cars already going in and leaving the pits. So this is interesting. We're going to have to keep an eye on, see which cars have pitted. I would imagine any cars that would have pitted now, they will not have opted to stay on the wet tyres. Surely they would have changed to the slick tyres. We'll have to try and find out with your wizardry, Martin, what sort of lap times those on the dry tyres are doing in these conditions as opposed to those who have yet to pit.
Fastest on track currently, De Keyser 1:47.1, which was his last lap. Obviously,
that's a wet time. Yeah.
Beyer made that mistake, so his last lap not really representative.
Tic Tac BMW leave the pits. Presumably, they have switched to slick tyres.
Jim Britton's in the pits. Dusan Magyar's in the pits. Barrett Kuntz in the pits. There's a lot of them coming in now. Nushi, Cocaine. A few of them are in. Most of them staying out though. Looks like it's that Arbanushi now. Arbanushi's in the pits, so I'm guessing that must be Phil Clark, is it, back there? So after his good start, he's obviously had some issues. He's back down there now in 28th and about to be caught already. by Beyer and De Keyser. So Beyer goes through, stays out, as does De Keyser. Mead goes through as well, as does Dhoore. So they're all on another lap.
Lots and lots of back markers now with people having pitted early. We've got the crew chief himself, Jim Britton, just come out of the pits, I believe. He's going to be just in front of these guys. Oof, so much traffic. De Keyser having a look here. Max Beyer being caught off by the traffic.
It seems to be all the traffic's concentrated on about one sector of the track currently.
Oh, we've got a BMW there going sideways. There's a tic-tac BMW there, I think, just caught the curb. I wonder if he managed to save it or if he went straight into the barrier.
I've got no yellow flag, so I think he caught it. Yeah, you just see him in the background going through. So good save. Was that Bergsma? It was. No, Bergsma. Yeah, going through Tosa, so it would have been Bergsma at the back there.
Yep.
Car control from Berger. Sander Hunzig is in the pits for his stop. So I'm guessing this will take care of the mandatory stop for them.
It certainly should. De Keyser all over the back of Beyer right now. He's just waiting. Who's going to pit first? I wonder if De Keyser is likely to go for an undercut, if he's that kind of person. De Keyser, I've raced him quite a couple of times in this season. Very, very patient man. Fast, very, very fast man. Very, very patient as well. He's not one to just, well, certainly when racing with myself, he wasn't one to just send it when he could have had the opportunity. So I didn't to wait for the perfect moment.
I did notice in the last race he drove like an impeccable race around Bathurst for like an hour and 45 minutes. Made a mistake, cost him a lot of time and a lot of positions, but was very quiet in chat, didn't say anything, and I found that rather than coming on going, oh, I had a great race and this happened, that happened, blah, literally nothing really at all from him. I'm sure personally he was fairly distraught because that was a cracking demonstration of driving from him, but whether it was a lack of concentration or what, or his tyres are going off, but lost so many places at the end there in Mount Panorama, but as you said, patient, quiet, and just gets about its business. So
yeah,
and he's got
interestingly here De Keyser on the start-finish straight choosing to go off of the racing line to try and cool his tyres down. So he is being mindful of the temperature of his tyres, whereas Max sticking to the racing line. We've got back marker here. Hopefully they stay on the outside for this next turn to allow these two to pass.
Which he does.
Good driving. Good driving from everyone involved.
Bulcke up to 8th now. Last time around a 47.7. And that is kind of getting into the times that they were doing earlier. So watch out for Cliff Bulcke making his way if that is the case. And he did start on those dry tyres.
Martin, do you have the information on Ian Paskin's last lap time?
I do. Ian Paskin went through out of the pits, mate, 2:09, so that's not representative.
So we'll have to wait and see what his lap time will be.
Fillingham, Barra, Clough, Coaston and Moll, Dennis in the pits. Yellow flag for Manojlovic as he goes off near the back of the field. But Beyer again through with De Keyser. In fact, no, De Keyser's in the pits. That's James Mead behind him. De Keyser is in.
Gone for the undercut.
Suddenly, James Mead.
I think that was a good move. There's still a lot of traffic on track. It certainly would have been. I would have done the same as De Keyser as well. Just looked ahead, seen the traffic of the cars who have already pit, and thought, you know what, they're just going to slow down Max. Potential of a collision, so good opportunity, good strategy here from Armadale. Right,
so that's not James behind, that is in fact Jim Britton. Mm-hmm. You can see James
I believe
Mead.
Is on slicks, to the best of my knowledge.
Right,
so
okay.
If he's able to catch right onto the back of Max Beyer, that shows that Max perhaps should have stopped a little bit earlier. And the slick tyres working better than the wets on this greasy surface that we have at the moment.
So De Keyser still sat in the pits. That's going to be a long time. Phil Clark in the background off. So Deprataire also in the pits. Bosman, Mackenberg, Christian Grote also in there. Grote, sorry. De Kaiser out and running. So he's away.
So he needs a quick lap now.
Cliff
Max
Bulcke
presumably
last
is gonna
time
pit on
round.
this lap.
47.2 for Cliff Bulcke. Best lap of his race so far, so I'm guessing Jack may have had a point there at the start with those tyres not being wet. They were slicks maybe, but we'll keep an eye on Bulcke. Because don't forget, he will still have to stop again. These guys
Stop, yeah.
are ticking
He's
off
in.
there.
Oh, this is David, perhaps, from Intense Racing.
Yep, so Max is in, Beyer's in, James Mead goes through.
So we'll have to see where Armadeo is. He comes to the end of the lap if he manages to jump ahead of Max.
James Mead just got an absolute car park in front of him.
Yeah, James should have pit as well, in my opinion.
Unless, of course, he's on dry tyres.
Unless he's on dry tyres, in which case everyone should be frightened. Anybody under the 147s now, Martin?
Cliff Bulcke 1:45.9 last time round, fastest lap of the race so far.
Interesting. Interesting. Did he start on the slicks? Here's
So-
Armadeo. Let's go on board with Armadeo and see if we can spot Max coming out of the pit lane.
By still on Jack's. So the guys are
He's coming out of the
crosses.
pit lane now. Is that him ahead?
It
This
is
is it. He's done it.
undercut.
Perfectly executed from Armadeo there.
Cliff Bulcke is currently sat in second position here. Did he take that gamble?
If so, that'll mean he'll only need to stop for fuel to get to the end of the race. He will not have to change tyres, so he will spend less time in the pit stall than everyone else. So a minimum of 30 seconds to change tyres. So if he doesn't have to do that and just has to take fuel, then it'll just be for the amount of fuel that he needs to take.
So Martijn Kennan's in chat. Thank you, Martijn. Our own Ted Kravitz. Bulcke is on wets. There's no logo to be seen on his tyre wall. Well, if he's doing these time on wet tyres, that's impressive as well.
Yeah.
Fastest man on track by some way at the moment. 2 seconds quicker than anybody else so far, Cliff Bulcke.
Oof.
But obviously the guys behind are still getting their tyres up to some kind of temperature, but if Bulcke is on dry tyres, I'm not disputing what you're saying, Martijn, but those times are to do that on wet tyres on a dry track. Unless he massively depressured them at the start, knowing they're balloon. I don't know, but even so. James Mead coming up. Barry Antialta through there. Not quite as aggressive with the curbs, I notice now it's not raining. Took those a little bit easier. You can see there in the background Cliff Bulcke 5 seconds back from Mead. Yeah, sorry, no timestamps on YouTube chat, you're correct. I've just got the chat, so I've been watching the race and every now and again I look down at the chat. I can't see when they've been posted, unfortunately, so we'll keep them coming. I appreciate you all sat there with this as this race unfolds, just to see how it pans out. But Mead goes through once again. This time, last time round a 48.5, last time round Bulcke a 45.2. So 3 seconds faster, Cliff Bulcke, last time round. Although that may well be that last lap was... I've only got an actual valid lap time. 48.5, 45.2. So we'll just wait and see that gap come down a little bit more from Bulcke. He is closing on Mead, but not by looks at 3 seconds a lap. But we'll keep an eye on it. Further back, Mackenberg and Fillingham currently sat 11th and 12th.
Stop and go penalty for car number 419. Who's
419, that's Walt Graves in the Bentley.
De Keyser has just put in the fastest lap of the race.
He has 44.7 for De Keyser. That compares to 45.2 from Bulcke last time round.
So track temperature going up here rapidly, 28 degrees Celsius on track now.
Last car out of the pits, Ralf Arella left that very long. And he comes out behind Deprataire on track. The TV tower will update shortly. Mead in the pits for his stop, so James Mead in. Cliff Bulcke takes the lead of the race as Mead pits. Santiago Carew up there in second.
Go on, Miguel. Let's go, Miguel. Come on.
Mead down to third. Teammate Pavlicek currently sat in fourth.
Soon to be third. Let's go, Radek. Come on.
Being harried by Ruud Dennis. So Radek up to third. Mead still in the pits.
So Radek's on those wet tyres by the looks of things. Ruud on slicks. I think Radek needs to come in here. He's worrying too much about the potential of rain coming back. Or does he know something that we do not know?
Was he trying to get an extra... I mean, it's only an hour for the second set for his tyres, isn't it? So that's no worry there. It's not like he's trying to eke those tyres out the sticks, because they will go an hour and a half, really.
We're going to go around the outside here.
That just shows you how much
So
more
much
grip.
Yeah. Nicely done there by Ruud. That was awesome. We've got Mead out the pits here.
There goes Von Son through.
Is that
And that looks
Armadale?
like Deprataire. That's Bram.
Oh, it's Bram.
Yeah,
I'll be happy with that. Bram will be much more comfortable now. He really wasn't enjoying the racetrack of Imola in the wet conditions, so he'll be very happy now that it's drying out. And we should see some pace out of him. I believe he was the fastest in the practice server when it was dry, so keep an eye on Bram.
But just to give you a rundown, after those round of pit stops, Cliff Bulcke leads by almost 20 seconds now from Miguel Santiago Carew. Radek Pavlicek in third there, 16 seconds behind Santiago Carew. So Cliff Bulcke already 35 seconds ahead of Pavlicek. De Keyser a further 20 seconds back in fourth. So this gamble by Cliff Bulcke looks to, at this time, have paid off.
We'll see. I mean, if he only has to stop and take fuel, Cliff Bulcke, and get out, that should give him, it should save him around 20 seconds in the pits compared to everybody else. So definitely want to keep an eye on. This is fantastic, Martin. This is exactly what the people want. This is what we want. This is what the drivers want. This is great racing.
I love your enthusiasm, man. Sometimes I do notice when I listen to some of the streams back, I do get a little bit monotonous because like you've seen it before, but you when you haven't driven for a while in these series, I'm not saying it doesn't matter as much, but it doesn't matter as much. So it's great to have you on board today, just to give a little bit of insight into just how this is unfolding.
Yeah, no, this is fantastic.
Deprataire closing down on Von Sond here. That was a 2-second gap not long ago. It's now down to under a second as Bram starts to pick up his pace. Lap times, Deprataire fastest lap of the race last time round of 43.6.
Yep, straight away he's on it.
Von Sond in front of 43.8. 43.7 for Bulcke, 43.9 for De Keyser. So they're all dipping down to the 43s.
43 for Bulcke. He can't be on wet tyre. There's no way.
They were pretty epic laps he did at the start then on dry. If they were slick tyres in those conditions.
Yeah. What are... sorry, Martin, do you have the information, the last lap times from Bulcke, Santiago Carew and Pavlacek?
So last time round, Bulcke was a 43.7. Santiago Carew at 50.8 and Pavlacek at 50.7.
Bulcke, like, he's got to be on slicks.
Yeah.
He's got to be on slicks. Santiago Carew into the pits.
He's in. So Pavlacek still going. Although he's losing 7 seconds of that, 51 last time round for Pavlacek. I don't know what Radek thinks he's... what the plan is, because those tyres are not going to be any good, I don't think. Even if it did rain again, I don't think it'll be any good.
Maybe he's hoping for a safety car. He's hoping for a safety car.
Did you actually take any dry tyres to Imola? Did you just not book the lorry?
I took all of them, unfortunately. So, yeah, I didn't leave him with any. Maybe that's the problem.
So Radek's still going round, Bulk's still circulating. Yeah, I think they've got to be slick tyres. I can't believe the lap times he was doing on those in what were pretty, I'd say, treacherous conditions, but they were certainly challenging at the start of the race.
Mm-hmm.
He did drop down the field like a stone, but he not quite like a boulder though, more like a pebble. Down to about 10th or 11th, but obviously that's now coming back to him over and over again. Fastest lap last time round, 43.1, Cliff Bulcke. Not only could that have been the qualifying performance of the season, although we have seen some really good ones, this could be the best strategy decision we've seen so far all season.
I tried to do some digging for some inside information myself, but unfortunately there's a bit of an issue with Cliff's stream. I don't know if it's at his end or at my end, but it's just showing a completely black screen, so I can't even try and sneakily find out.
I wonder if that's on. Wonder if that's a purposeful issue there.
A pretty extreme competitive.
Well, let's put it this way: if he's doing 43.1s on wets, then we, like you said earlier, I think we've all got something to worry about.
Definitely. The Pavlacek finally into the pits. Good stuff, Radek. Here we go. Where is he going to come out? It's going to be...
It's quite tight in that midfield there. He's going to get Mackenberg, Fillingham, Groot and Britton all pretty close together.
Yeah, I think he's going to come out probably around about Santiago Carew, who was racing with before. Probably just behind, perhaps in front of Zander. We'll find out soon enough. Fillingham going well here. So the BMW as well.
Hunzik through. Pavlacek just coming out the pits. So you're right, not far behind. Although I'm guessing Bergsman's going to get through as well. Manojlovic just coming down pitch straight now with Phil Clark. And Pavlacek's away. So Pavlacek slots in between Bergsman and Manojlovic. And not one to criticise, but I think Radek might have taken that a little bit too far there. Cliff Bulcke, though, currently leads Amadeo de Kaiser by 57 seconds. That is some lead.
Yeah, I mean, even if he did have to change tyres, if he's 57 seconds ahead, that's enough to go in, change tyres, which he might even be considering. You know, 30 seconds to change tyres, he can refuel while they're changing the tyres. Fresh set of slicks for the remainder of the race. I mean...
So come on, Jack, what would you do in that situation?
I was just about to ask you the same question, Martin. I was just about to ask you the same. For me, if I was in Cliff's situation, I would pit now while I've got this gap. Because these tyres, they will have gone through a lot. They've seen a lot. They've seen a lot of the wet. They've seen the track evolution from it being damp and greasy, sliding around perhaps a little bit. So yeah, I would pit in, fresh set of slick tyres. Get the car filled with the fuel, and while they're changing the tyres, back out, should I would imagine probably still comfortably have about a 10-second lead, but on fresh tyres and fuel to the end without concern. That would be a pretty solid strategy.
My only argument with that would be was if the rain comes back later in the race.
That's it. I mean, that's the question on everyone's mind right now, isn't it?
Fillingham, Christian Grote and Jim Britton all covered by about a second down there in 10th, 11th and 12th. And then we were looking at him earlier, give him a bit more TV time. Pavlicek currently got Manojlovic and Phil Clark crawling all over the back of him while he tries to get those tyres up to temperature. And I suppose get a new mindset on, because all of a sudden he's going to have more grip than a lot more grip than he had before, and you've got to try and find those braking points and the lines again, haven't you?
That's it. That's it. He'll have so much grip, more grip than he'll know what to do with.
The track's now moved into a fast condition, so no more wet patches anywhere.
So we've got Rick Bindersley on the back of Bosman at the minute as well. He'll be looking to make an overtake.
There's Bindersley just going through Tosa. New sheet ahead.
Speaking to Rick earlier in the week as well, he's quite fond of Imola also. He's also quite fond of Imola. So let's see if he can try and make up some places as we progress through the race.
Fillingham goes through to complete 20 laps. Fillingham, Grote and Britton down there. So time-wise, how are we producing? We're still not into the qualifying times, obviously, because of fuel loads and stuff, but currently Deprataire at 42.5 on last time round, takes the fastest lap of the race.
He's getting there.
That compares to Bulcke on a 42.9, so 4 tenths quicker was Deprataire last time round. Those two only guys in the 42s currently. Gaps to the cars are increasing slightly. Now 58.5 seconds.
Jim Britton, very, very close to the rear of Christian Grote as well, currently. Phil Clark also on the back of Manojlovic.
Unfortunately, Nick Campbell's had to retire from the race. A throttle potentiometer only giving 50% gas, unfortunately, so that's not great. Unfortunately, Nick's had to retire, so...
See if Britton can make the pass here. He's pretty close. Got a little bit sideways. Lit up the rears coming out of the final corner. Compromised his exit, so he might be a little bit too far back to make it happen this time, but provided he has a good run through the first chicane, he might be able to get the move done before the end of this lap. Oh, he's run wide.
Managed to catch it though through those curbs, which is...
Yeah.
But you can see, as you said, just how much time he's lost off the back of Christian Grote there. Meanwhile, Fillingham all over the back of Mackenberg, and ahead of them, Ralf Arella. No, that's not Ralf Arella. That's a Davidoff Golf McLaren by the looks of it. It is. That might have been Ian Paskin, or it might have been Sam Cockayne, one of the two. But meanwhile, Fillingham dabbing the brakes. Through Peratella down into Aqua Minerale.
It'd be interesting to know as well how many track warnings people have had, because we've already had one drive-through for Bill Graves earlier on in the race, but Imola and the track restrictions are very, very strict here in Assetto Corsa Competizione, so
yeah, especially through Aqua Minerale section.
Just hesitant to really give it full welly, maximum beans. For they do not want to give themselves a drive-through penalty here at Imola, where the pit lane is exceptionally long.
Yeah, that's a good point. And like you say, they are restricted. A lot of time in ACC they do give you a no time game, but I found that, you know, you go wide there at Acqua Minerale, even though it's not quicker, you do tend to lose some time. It's into the pits. Was that Cliff Bulcke?
It's got to be Bulcke. It's
It
Bulcke.
is.
Let's see what happens here. Let's pay attention.
So just see how long he's on those jacks.
And where is the Kaiser on track?
The cars are just coming down into Acqua Minerale.
Oh, I think Bulcke's safe here. Will he take a fresh set of boots? I'm going to get my stopwatch on. See how long he's in there for.
So Bulcke down to the end of the pit lane and stops. It's a long stop. He's still there. The Kaiser can't be coming through the final corner, and Rivazza 2. Bulcke's away.
I don't think he took tyres, you know.
Just fuel.
I think he's just taking fuel.
So De Kaiser has made that minute up as he comes through. Cliff Bulcke there sees De Kaiser go through, and now we've got a race on our hands.
Now we have got a race on our hands.
Rude Dennis has just put himself into the middle of something he wants to get out of.
So, if Cliff Bulcke was on a set of dry, slick tyres for this entirety of the race and only took fuel there, he will now be at disadvantage on worn, slick tyres. As opposed to Armadeo and Co, who will be on fresher, slick tyres. However, if he did take a new set of slicks, then because he stayed out longer, he will be on a fresher set of slicks going into the end of the race. So he could have the advantage or be severely handicapped coming towards the end of this race.
So the maximum time for the stop, even if you take fuel, is 30 seconds.
If you're changing tyres, it's a minimum of 30 seconds, depending on how much fuel you take. If you take an amount of fuel that would by itself take 30 seconds or less, then you're not penalised, as the mechanics can refuel as they're changing tyres. If you're taking fuel which would by itself take longer than 30 seconds, then anything over the 30-second mark, if you're taking tyres, will be added on. And then damage is also extra. So if you have damage to fix, then that will be added on at the end, because they're not allowed to start repairing the damage while they're working on the car, meaning taking fuel or switching tyres.
I would say, given that the gaps we're looking at and where Cliff Bulcke went into the pits, I think he may have taken tyres there.
He could have been. My stopwatch didn't quite start when I wanted to. So he could have taken tyres. We will find out. I'm pretty sure we're going to find out pretty soon.
So
Just keep an eye on these lap times. If he's able to keep the low 143s and get down into the 42s and 41s, then we'll know he probably has likely taken a fresh set of slicks. But if he starts to decline and go more towards the 43s, 44s, then perhaps he didn't change.
So give you a rundown. De Kaiser leads Bulcke by 4.2. Beyer a further 4.8 behind Bulcke. 2.7 back to Dhoore in 4th. Deprataire 1.7 in 5th. And a gap of 9 seconds then back to the fast starting James Mead, remember, early in the race. I'm guessing he's got a wet setup on that Audi, and that's why that car's starting to struggle now. Bonson down there in 7th, 1.6 behind Mead. Then it's a gap of 14 seconds to Arella. 10 seconds to Mackenberg, who's still in that Fillingham and Grota battle. So Mackenberg's still got Fillingham climbing all over him. Teammate of Mackenberg, Christian Grota, taking a watching brief behind. Fillingham goes a little bit wide down the exit of Tosa, but there's plenty of grip out there, so he's okay. Fillingham's teammate Arella just ahead of Mackenberg. I say just 10 seconds ahead of Mackenberg, but only in P8. It's currently the closest battle on track, with the exception of Benucci and Binnersley as they go into San chicane. Benazzi's been putting in some cracking performances this season. Finds himself behind teammate Andre Mol up in 21st. As Nushi runs wide. So Benazzi gets the place up to 23rd as the leaders come through. Cliff Bulcke, that was. De Keyser already through. Now Bulcke chasing Benazzi down. Rick, very experienced racer, will seat Bulcke in the background. I'm sure we'll let him through at an appropriate time, probably up towards the chicane. Benazzi pulls to the left, his right, your left, and lets Bulcke through. You can see De Keyser just in front of Bulcke. Last time round, De Keyser at 43.3. Bulcke tyres still getting up to temperature, 43.7. We'll see what it's like this time round. That's Von Sond, I think, in front. Or it might be actually not Bosman, I think. Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't think it's Von Sond anyway. So last time round, De Keyser 42.9, Bulcke 43.3. De Keyser just stretching. But you're right, as you said earlier, Jack, track temperature now right up. And they're now effectively in a dry race. The rain's all gone. Oh, BMW there at the back goes flying off. That was Mark Bosman, yeah. And now he's got Nushi climbing all over the back of him. And is that Max Beyer trying to get through as well? It is. Max Beyer's got two battling midfielders to try and negotiate. Nushi runs wide. Let's Beyer through. Bosman will do the same hopefully on the run up to the chicane. And he does, same as Benazzi, he pulls over and lets Beyer through. And you can see right behind them the flying David Dhoore as well, making his way through the traffic. There is Dhoore, just looking for space from Nushi. Nushi not giving it to him and leaves it right to the last minute to break at the bottom of the hill. David Dhoore gets round, he's now got Bram Deprataire right up his chuff. This is the view from Bram as we go across the start finish line. De Keyser leads Bulcke 5.3. Max Beyer in third, 6 seconds behind Bulcke. Dhoore and Deprataire 4th and 5th. Feints one way, goes the other. Deprataire's through, Bulcke lets him out of it. Through they go, Bosman again pulls over. So Dhoore down to 5th, but with pace. Best lap for Dhoore 43.2, best lap for Deprataire 42.5. Currently lap record around here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bram catching up to Max in no time at all, to be honest. He's on a mission. Fastest man in the dry in the practice server. Fastest man here in the dry during the race. It'll be interesting to see just where he can end up with just over 40 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, timings are a bit out lap time wise, obviously through the back markers, but so the only people in the 42s as their best laps, De Keyser and Bulcke, actually with an exact same time of 42.907 for Bulcke and De Keyser, their fastest laps. Deprataire 42.5. Actually, I tell a lie, James Mead a 42.7. De Keyser just puts in a 42.6. So times are starting to tumble as the fuel load goes down. It just shows you how much time. I mean, you did say, Jack, about how long that pit lane is. But yeah, Bulcke coming in from almost a 1 minute lead over De Keyser and then comes out in second position. No matter how long his pit stop was, that's some time lost in the pits.
Given the amount of time left in the race, I'm looking at the forecast. I do not believe that we'll be seeing any more rain. So I think it will be a dry race from here into the end. The track is still not fully rubbered in as well, so times should continue to tumble.
Christian Groot, Mark Bosman in the pits. I'm not sure what that's for. They should have done their stops and fuels by now, so unless that's damage. So they drop down the field. But the field very well strung out here. Nobody within a second of the car in front of them.
I don't know, perhaps Bulcke might have just made a little bit of a mistake there, perhaps, that we may have missed. I'm not sure if he has, but he's dropped to almost 9 seconds now behind De Keyser, with Max closing in under 3 seconds behind now. So pretty epic. We've got the top 5. You can all see each other on track. Well, P2 to P5.
Yeah.
It's definitely encouraging when you're in the car. If you can see the car ahead of you that you're racing, it's always it gives you a little bit of extra boost. You know, you're not just racing against the clock. You can physically see the car ahead that you're trying to catch. Always gives you a little bit more. Unless, of course, they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller ahead of you, then that's the opposite. That's very demotivating.
Is that when you have to try and convince yourself they're on a different strategy to you and that
exactly
yours is the best one and it will play out in the end?
That's it, yep.
So as Jack said, De Keyser now almost 10 seconds ahead of Cliff Bulcke, who's slipped back into the clutches of Beyer. Bulcke and Beyer 1 and 2 on the grid. But whether it's De Keyser's sterling laps in that transitionary period of the race, when we went from a wet track to a dry track, whatever it was, has now suddenly found himself out there in front. Although that's suddenly dropping as well. That's gone down by 3 seconds. Oh, as he gets stuck in traffic. De Keyser making his way through. He's lost 3 seconds as the NSX moves wide and lets him through.
We've got Radek just on the back of Zander at the minute as well, just 2/10 behind. Looks like slightly more than 2/10. I think that must have had a bit of a.
I wonder if they went to the
wobble.
chicane together,
Yep.
and Radek's had to back out of it maybe.
Yeah, he's dropped to over a second back now.
And you can see, you were saying, Jack, about Bram being on a charge, and there's the.
Yeah.
There's the Grizzly Racing Nissan of Max Beyer now, almost within touching distance rather.
This will be a good battle. This will be a nice battle with these two. They're both in contention. They're both battling in the championship. Max on a recent streak of good fortune, good pace, good strategy, and again here today. He won't be wanting to give up this podium position to the WRT driver of Bram Deprataire.
So through Piratilla they go, which is a lot easier to navigate now than it was half an hour ago.
More traffic here. So
And
the
is that
Sky
Cliff
Motorsport
Bulcke
cars
as well?
just letting the leaders past.
So now Bulcke, Beyer and Deprataire almost.
Got a race on our hands here, folks.
I do feel for Cliff Bulcke. He must be thinking, what have I got to do? I've done everything that I could possibly do right, and suddenly I'm getting eaten up everywhere. suppose with that qualifying lap, you wanted the rain to stay really. Beyer pulls out, has a look, nothing doing, as a flame spits from the side of that GTR. And now Deprataire looking to take advantage of that. Look from Max on Cliff. Kicks off a bit of dirt, you won't lose too much time. The gap between Villeneuve and Tosa, not enough to really affect, but this drive will. Up the hill they go. Bulcke, Beyer, Deprataire in the background. Dhoore just starting to lose touch now, 3 seconds off the back. He'll be hoping that Bulcke can hold these two up a little bit, bring him back into the action. But I should imagine Cliff's got his hands full and his mirrors full as well.
Oh, Max made a little bit of a mistake there. Poor exit speed. He's going to defend. Defends well. GTR is a wide boy.
It is.
Not easy to get past. Well, Bram's going to be... He knows that the start-finish straight is coming up. It is long. If he can just stay close and get a good exit out of the last corner, yeah, he's taking a wider line than Max. He's setting himself up for a pass into the first chicane. Yep. Then Max will have the slipstream from Cliff's Aston in front, but will it be enough? Well, I don't know if Bram's had a little moment there or if he's just backed out, but he's...
Yeah, Nissan's just
backed
flew,
out.
hasn't he?
He's backing out. He's letting Max and Cliff have a little battle and just sitting back.
Ooh.
Oh,
Wiggle.
maybe his tyres are just going through a phase just now of not feeling particularly good and thinking rather than attack and then have to immediately defend with these two, sit back, the tyres come back into a good operating window and they're feeling good again. It does happen sometimes with ACCU tyres. Sometimes you can just have a lap and a half of the tyres have been fine, everything's going okay, and then all of a sudden they just don't feel so good.
Is that them trying to simulate grading, I suppose? Grading would probably last a lot longer than that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's hard to really know what the force feedback is conveying in ACC at the best of times. So when you put all of these other variables on top, then your guess is as good as mine.
Cliff Bulcke soaking up the pressure here.
He is the biggest sponge. Doing a great job here. Really, really impressive drive. If you can hang on to this, if you can, I think if Cliff can finish on the podium, he'll be happy. He'll be sweating though from his cockpit right now.
Yeah.
I've seen his streams. He really puts in a lot of effort. I really appreciate that about Cliff's driving as well. He drives with quite a lot of force behind his direct drive wheel and really gets into the zone, and I appreciate that. I like that. It's something that I like to do myself as well. Turn everything off, up.
Just saying about Dhoore behind, obviously seeing these three battlers give him a little bit more of impetus. He's now adopted into the 42s as well. And so these three fights out last time round, Bulcke 43.4. Obviously the two behind, fairly similar times.
Max having a little look there on the inside, but not quite committing. He's got to worry about Bram behind as well, so he's attacking and defending at the same time, burning the candle at both ends, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think, folks?
Santiago Carew as Britton goes round the outside there.
What a move. Shame about that livery, but good move.
So Britton up to 10th. Santiago Carew drops out the top 10 now, down to 11th. Finningham still down there in 13th. He's had an issue somewhere on the line because Jody Barraclough's 14.4 ahead of him and Mackenberg is away and gone. So Finningham having his issues further down the field.
Pavlicek making up some good ground here actually as well. He was stuck down, I think, when he came out of the pits in P17. So
Max and Bram side by side going through.
It's a little nibble there from Max, but they both get through fairly unscathed.
So Max, who was nibbling on Cliff Bulcke, finds himself, nibbled himself, and now down to 4th.
That'll be
And they'll soon find themselves in the back of Cliff Bulcke again, I should imagine it, and all start again.
that's it. Yeah, Cliff will be just have that little release now of not having someone completely on his tail, and he might just find an extra 10th or 2 per lap, just not having that immediate pressure on him.
Yeah, I'm guessing De Kaiser and Beyer had some sort of incident when we dropped down and looked at the other cars pass him, because they lost about a second there between the two of them. I don't think they did much wrong before the bit that we saw, so I'm guessing through the chicane at the top. 2 into 1 didn't go.
One has to also ask, is Cliff just on another planet with the strategy here? Is he deliberately holding these two up so that his teammate can catch up? Because intense racing, they need a solid team result here to boost them in the team standings as well. They're fully in the mix with a bunch of other teams, but a solid top 5 finish for both of the intense racing cars would be a really good result for them today.
I think that's a lot to think about for Cliff Bulcke with his teammate, although he's doing a cracking job at actually bringing Dhoore back into play, but knowing how quick the guys are behind, I should imagine Bulcke's got his hands, everything full, including his trousers at the moment, because he's got some big balls holding these two back the speed they're carrying. Here we go.
So he's taken to the left. Oh! I can barely see through the gap in my fingers here, looking at the screen. This is great racing, folks.
And David Dhoore has now made it a 4-way battle for
P2.
For P2, yeah, P2, you're right. And I don't want to add anything to the mix as well, but James Mead has closed the gap to Dhoore down to 4 seconds as well. So,
come on, join the party.
There
Join
he is
the
in the
train.
background.
Let's go, James.
and I don't want to curse him, I did say this at the last round at Mount Panorama, but De Kaiser appears to have checked out. 14 seconds he's pulled out on Bulcke now.
A far more forgiving track, Imola, than Mount Panorama.
Yes.
The Armco several meters away from the track limits. So I think he'll be okay. Oh, we've got a Bentley there, parked on the outside. But he did the right thing, just stay put with his foot on the brake pedal.
Cliff's on the inside now, he does. Ram's got it around the outside. Cliff's got to push him all the way.
Two.
Max patiently waiting.
That's compromised. Cliff's exit. He's going to be overtaken here by, I believe, both the Audi and the Nissan.
Ooh.
And he's got to be careful. Maybe his teammate as well here. If team orders are not in play, he's going to be on the inside. He's going to have to take a slow line through the chicane here. Oh, he slots in. Slots in.
So just defending that corner at the end of the lap, like you said, Jack, it's now cost him 2 places there.
This guy's teammate, he's got a better exit. Having a look up the inside here, I wonder if they'll be on the radio communicating with each other.
This does cement your argument that he didn't change tyres at the stop, because if that was the case, these tyres would now be an hour old.
And that's it. Falling off the cliff, perhaps. I hope the cliff's got a minute to be able to join us for a little bit of a chat after the race.
But now, can Bram cut the umbilical cord to Max Beyer and start pulling away? Max is feisty, to say the least. That Nissan's going over every corner of the track to try and keep it together. Bram a lot more clinical. As we run into Finningham there in front. And Phil Clark, I think, in front of Finningham. So those two are fighting for position, but there's enough of a gap there for Fillingham to let them through on the straight, although there's a train, like I said, of 4 cars that will need to go through on the straight if it's a blue flag. Although you can see the intense racing, boys, how good Cliff was at holding these two up, because all of a sudden Deprataire is away 42-2 last time round. Dhoore almost a second off that. Bulcke 2 seconds off that, although he did lose a lot of time, as we said, defending out that last corner down the straight. So Deprataire is through past Fillingham. Fillingham just getting a bit sideways in front of Max there. De Keyser stuck in a lot of traffic further up the field. I think it was De Keyser. Oh no, he's through it. My apologies. It looked like the blue R8, but De Keyser's through all that. Deprataire still to pass Phil Clark. Two Nissans on the same, sorry, two NSXs on the track at the same time. Oh, someone goes across the chicane there. We saw Jim Britton go around the outside of Carew earlier. Santiago Carew still hanging on to the back of Jim Britton. Seems like there's no one on track with them there, doesn't it? Everyone else is congregated somewhere else. They didn't get the ticket to the party, obviously. Two good friends, Miguel and Jim. Jim having the better of this one currently. Now suddenly 3, 4, 5 and 6 all starting to spread out as they go through the traffic and extend their pace. Deprataire 1.7 ahead of Beyer. Who's just, oh, look at all that traffic, oh my goodness.
Fantastic. These are terrific scenes. This is what the people want to see.
Oh! Oh, I thought it was Deprataire. It's not. It's one of the OnlyFans cars. There's Deprataire with the big McDonald's sign in the front of his car. There's Beyer coming through behind the NSX. And then David Dhoore also separated.
It's great to see so many different car manufacturers on track here.
There is loads of everything. I was just surprised at the lack of Ferraris, really. That's all. But
yeah, that is true.
Look at it all.
Do we have a single Ferrari actually in this season?
We had Nick Wicklander, who was in a
Wicklander,
Ferrari,
of course.
and Tommy Kosonen, who was also a privateer,
Okay.
running, but they're the only two. James Mead is now 0.7 behind Cliff Bulcke, would you believe? So Cliff starting to, well, not starting to, he has fallen off a cliff.
He's doing everything he can to try and keep ahead, but I fear for Cliff, my friend, that it is only a matter of time until James Mead on those fresher boots will be challenging for that position.
What looked like a spectacular strategy decision not that long ago, it suddenly started to bite Cliff in the arse here.
How long have we got left on the clock now, Martin?
21 minutes to go. Keyser.
James very, very close there, just able to brake so much later, James, than Cliff is at the minute. So I think it won't be long now until we see a pass, perhaps into the chicane after Acqua Minerale. If not, almost certainly on the start-finish straight. You see the steering input here of James, just very, very controlled. Not overworking the wheel. Just trying to keep it as minimal, small inputs as possible.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
You don't want to be sawing away at the wheel. That's going to be scrubbing the tyres, wearing them faster than they need to be. Yeah, it's nice small steering angles there for quite tight turns, so conserving those tyres. A little bit of oversteer on the exit there, but maybe close enough here with the slipstream. Really take the gamble. Not quite alongside. I think Cliff's getting a distant tow from the cars ahead as well, so he lives to fight another lap.
I've got a feeling that James thinks he can take advantage of the situation with the back markers in a minute rather than putting himself at risk.
Are these two cars ahead battling for position, Martin, do you know?
I'm guessing that's Arbor New Sheet. Oh no, it's not, sorry, my bad.
I think we've got the move done now. James is ahead after the hairpin.
Yeah, went through a toe, so
Made up to P5, Bulcke down to P6. And the gap back to Van Sand.
23 seconds, so
23 seconds. This will be interesting. There's still quite a bit of time left, so
I think Cliff would be distraught if he fell back into the clutches of Van Sand, I think.
yeah.
But
Where did remind me of what position that Bulcke started in this evening?
Bulcke was pole sitter with that amazing lap.
He was a pole sitter.
Yeah,
Just had that terrible start, didn't he?
yeah.
Such a shame.
Or was it a terrible start? Was it that was the plan? He's just got the strategy.
Yeah, that's it.
Not so much wrong, but the weather didn't fall his way. But whatever it was, Cliff Bulcke now down to 6th and already a second off the back of James Mead as Mead pulls away and starts chasing after David Dhoore.
That's it. Still Santiago Caro and Britton battling. It'll be interesting to see how long that continues. We've got Manojlovic behind Kunt at the minute, but Kunt just picked himself up a stop and go penalty. So that'll be
Stop and go
an easy
speeding,
pass.
isn't it, in the pit lanes? Has he got a stop and go or just a drive through? Whatever it is, it's not going to help him.
It's not going to help him.
There is a stop and go for Barrett Kunt, so perhaps he has been into the pits for something. Only one Merc 2, is that correct? Is that right? I just noticed in chat somebody saying there's only one Merc in the series as well.
Only one Merc. Who's driving the Mercedes?
It's not.
Are they in this evening?
It's, well, I've not seen it this evening.
No, I've not seen the Mercedes this evening either.
That's a really interesting thing. I mean, the Ferrari was interesting enough, but only one Mercedes. Dusan. Is Dusan in the Merc?
He is in the Mercedes, you're right. Yep. I think so. That's his car of choice. He was in the AMG last season as well.
I love that the chat's more intelligent than we are.
Santiago Carubian, very patient here. I mean, he's each lap he's gained the 10th, and he's just sitting there behind Jim. But Jim isn't that easily phased. Usually, if there's an easy pass on Jim, it's through complete fault of his own, making errors. But Jim usually isn't phased when he's in control of the car. So,
do you think Miguel's crew chief is telling him just to hang back and wait for him to make a mistake?
Hang back for the next half an hour, yeah. But
the driver in front is very risky.
This is the move. Spoke too soon. I was just about to say Miguel needs to get a move on and just send it here, but I think that mistake there from Jim Britton, the crew chief. Oh, he's going to hang around the outside. Miguel needs to be a little bit more aggressive here if he wants to make the move stick.
Here we go.
Oh, I don't know if he's going to do it. The Audi's very quick in a straight line. Yeah, he's needs to be a little bit more aggressive, I think.
Blue flags for the car in front.
Go on, give him a little flash of the headlights. We won't tell the stewards.
Nice exit there.
Yeah.
Jim defends.
Cut back.
Inside of Tosa.
Get the cut back. I tell you what, that Aston Martin looks planted. Great control here from Miguel.
Turns out they're fighting for the biggest sponge tonight. Can Miguel Santiago Carew hustle the crew chief into a mistake? He's certainly trying everything he can here. This is currently the closest battle on track. While you watch it, De Kaiser currently leads Deprataire by 13 seconds. Max Beyer now 2.6 off the back of Bram. David Dhoore 3 seconds off the back of Max. 3.8 then back to James Mead. 2 seconds back to Cliff Bulcke, who's managed to stem the flow of lap times. He's back in the 143s again now. Von Son there in 7th, Arella 8th. Just 1.2 behind is Von Son, so Arella looking for that position. Mackenberg in 9th. And then this battle between Britton and Santiago Carew for 10th. I'll say for 10th.
Send it, Miguel!
Oh, wow. Will he have the cut back on this one? Go down towards Villeneuve. Come on, cameraman, give us a better angle. Oh, Jim goes wide. He has. Miguel's
Forced
done
a
it.
mistake. He's done it.
He's harried him into a mistake. Britton will be kicking himself, as we all know. Those that know him know just how much he'll be swearing right now. So Miguel makes it up to 10th, further back. Sander Hunzig's got Fillingham and Phil Clark crawling all over the back of him. And they've got back mark. Well, are they back markers ahead of him? I think they are.
Yeah, this should be an interesting battle now. Oh. Fillingham's got to be very, very cautious here in between these two.
Oh, is that a wiggle from
He's going to make a
somebody?
lunge to the inside.
Wow, that was brave. That was brave.
That's the kind of aggressive driving, you know, you've got to be confident in the tyres that you can get it stopped and have the grip around the apex, but Simon obviously feeling confident there, went for it and the move stuck.
Great move, great move. So Fillingham now up to 12th, so up to 14th. Hunzig and Clark. Phil Clark sensing more chinks in Wacky Teddy's armour. Do you know what? I watched Phil Clark drive. I'm pretty sure if he drove in a straight line, he'd be a second a lap quicker because he crawls everywhere over the back of people looking for a gap. Here he goes, look, inside, outside. He must add at that 300 metres to every lap he does.
Just for a lap or for a few corners, can we go onto the dash cam with Phil Clark?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Just so you know, I'm keeping an eye on Arella and Von Son. They're currently into the pits. Wow.
Into the pit. Drive through. Car number 4, is that Phil Clark?
Car number 4, no, that is
Paskin.
Ian Paskin.
Phil Clark into the pits here. Has he miscalculated something? Fuel,
I'm
perhaps?
guessing so.
Yeah, that seemed like he'd already made his mandatory stop, so this is an unscheduled pit stop. He must be low on fuel.
This is Ralf Arella. He's got the gap down, so here's Von Son too. Well, about a mattress. we go through Villeneuve.
These two have battled fairly closely, actually, in the past couple of races, I think. Towards the end, they usually have different strategies, but towards the end of the race, they converge, and they often have quite a nice a scuffle towards the end of the races. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I think that last time around in Bathurst, I think Van Sond just stayed ahead of Arella, I believe. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that.
But this is the battle I suppose you'd normally be involved in as well, wouldn't it?
Well, I would like to think that would be higher up, but yes, you're probably correct. You're probably correct.
Well, whether you're ahead of them or behind them, it's still a battle, isn't it?
Definitely, definitely. I think last season and this season, I seem to find myself sharing the most tarmac with Sir Bulcke, Cliff Bulcke. So
Right.
around about there, but definitely Arella I've known to be battling with as well in the past. But I just think that he's not quite found his form this season, whether it's to do with the M4 or the combinations of tracks. He's not of the competitive nature that he usually finds himself. Maybe not quite of the consistency that he usually is as well. Ralf Arella usually insane with the consistency. And I think there's just been a few errors this season, a few mistakes, and whether or not that is attributed to, like I said, ACC or just the M4.
Oof.
But he's acknowledged that, and he's doing the best. He's maximising what he can from the 77 car.
I must admit, of all the cars I've driven in ACC, and obviously I'm further back in the grid than Ralf Arella is, I find the M4 to be the most compliant car that I've driven so far. I love driving it,
Yeah.
but the settings, you pretty much have to like max the wing most of the time on it to be able to get the car to turn properly. And when you've got like I think it's 8 wing settings on it, and when you're either running at 6, 7 or 8, and that's your limit for me anyway to get the car I want to drive, it does make the car so slow in a straight line.
Yeah. I think it's like I don't know. I mean, I've never driven the M4, so I'm unable to comment on that. But certainly in the Lamborghini and in the Audi, I was always running maximum wing unless it was a track like Monza or Spa. Just purely for the same thing, the same reasons that you mentioned. The guys are in the pits.
Yeah, and guess who else is in the pits? Deprataire. So the two WRT boys are stopping. Max
What
Beyer
is happening?
has suddenly taken the lead of this race. Into the lead. David Dhoore towing along behind 3 seconds. De Kaiser, Deprataire still in. Mead goes through. And I've just thrown my dinner out the window because I don't know what's happening.
So clearly, a lot of people may be making the pit stops earlier and not taking enough fuel. Perhaps only taking the fuel load if the race was going to be fully wet, where they might have been operating the engine on a wet engine mapping, so would have been burning less fuel. They would have been not as aggressive on the throttle as well. So it's amazing that when you do have a wet setup, how much less fuel that you do burn. So maybe those guys have only refueled for it to be a wet race and haven't adjusted their pit strategy when switching over to the slick tyres, and now they're paying for it, Martin.
Well, that's just thrown everything out the window. 7 minutes to go. Beyer through in the lead. And I don't even know, when did Max stop? I'm not even sure the fuel tank on the GTR, it's not a car I've ever driven, so it looks thirsty. It looks heavy, so...
Everybody has had the opportunity, though. When they made the pit stop, they have had the opportunity to change, if they've changed their tyres, which I presume everybody did, to the slicks. Whether they were starting on the wets or the slick, they had the opportunity during the tyre change to put in more fuel. So,
and you would have done that as a matter of course, I'd have thought, wouldn't you? Just filled it up to whatever you need to finish the race. You know it's going to be dry.
That's it. If you're making the call to switch to the slick tyres and not be hesitant like a Radek and some of the other
maybe
late
that's
stoppers.
the reason Radek stayed out as long as he did, because he wanted to make one stop for a full tank of fuel to get him to the end.
And that's it, exactly it. But yeah, presumably if you make that decision, you make that call to switch to the slick tyres, you refuel because it is going to be you're presuming it's going to be a dry race, you're going to be burning more fuel.
But
the Kaiser's re-emerged in P5 now, just ahead of Van Sond, less than a second, if the timing sheets are correct.
It is.
We've got Arella right there as well, so we've got a 3-way battle for P5 now.
And of course they're going to have to bring those tyres back up to temperature again. It won't take too long, but even so, every tenth matters at the moment. And what looked like to be another runaway victory for Armella de Kaiser suddenly finds himself down there in 5th, some 12 seconds, 13 seconds off the lead now.
And teammate Bram down in P8, so a 1-2 turning to a P5 and a P8.
11 seconds Bram behind Arella, so that's going to be something to make up in 5 minutes. I don't even think Bram's got that sort of pace. So Bram looks, unless the others have still got to stop. Remember, these are the first ones we've seen drop in. There may be others still to do that.
The WRT boys will be hoping that, but I mean, I think that's wishful thinking.
Obviously, one person that won't have to do it would be Cliff Bulcke, because he obviously stretched his first stint out of the longest virtue of all of them with his tyre choice. So I imagine he's full of fuel and get to the end.
Yep. So I'm just looking at, I think David, he'll be gripping the steering wheel very firmly. He'll be thinking, can I just get onto that top spot of the podium? But he's been consistently about 3 seconds back to Max, and he's not closing the gap. And then the same again, back to James as well. I think James is, he was very, very fast on the track for a moment of time, but he's slowly getting further and further away from David. So unless these guys can get their head down and start shaving off some time, it looks as though, provided they don't have to pit, Max, David and James could be standing on our podium.
Thanks again in chat. 132 litres for the GTR, apparently. Dead
Massive.
Mode in chat. Can you let me know who you are in real life, like your Discord name, please, just so we can shout you out, because you are literally our Ted Kravitz at the moment. Martin Kennens has just been fired, and Dead Mode has stepped into the shoes, or sandals rather. Is that you, Dusan? Is that you? I'll wait and see. Anyway, this is Arella still crawling over the back of Yves van Sand with traffic in front. In fact, teammate Fillingham in front as well. About to be lapped by his teammate. Can he do him a favour with Yves van Sand? I don't think he can do much more than he's done already. He's managed to put the two of them together. Fillingham pulls over, lets one through, lets his teammate through as well. Goes through. So again, if you can't read the tower, 2.7 the gap from Beyer to Dhoore, 7 seconds Dhoore to Mead, 2.5 Mead to Bulcke, 23 seconds Bulcke to De Kaiser. 1.7 De Kaiser to Van Sand, and then obviously Arella you can see in touching distance of Van Sand. So and then Deprataire 10 seconds. That gap's coming down pretty statically, but that's not going to make any difference. 2 minutes to go. Oh, wow, that's flown by. 2 more laps then.
Bulcke is closing the gap to Mead. He got half a second on him on that last lap, I believe. Don't know if it's going to be enough. But Bulcke is pushing to get that step on the podium.
Fastest man last time round, Bram Deprataire, obviously on a charge, but not for much. He's not going to get anything unless one of them up front makes a mistake or has to go in for the last lap splash and dash. But if that is the case, that's unlucky, because they really should have managed there, like you said, Jack. If they can change their map in race, they should have done that just to be able to eke it out as long as they can. But after some epic performances from Max Beyer, this could be his greatest yet.
Who's your driver of the day, Martin? And chat, who are your top 3 drivers of the day?
My driver of the day would probably be Amadeo De Kaiser, simply because he's got the pace of everybody out there, but for whatever reason, that strategy that he's pulled today with his teammate just wasn't right. So it doesn't affect his quality of driving, but obviously his decision making or the strategy needs some sort of work. But Max Beyer has been on fire for the last 2 or 3 races anyway. And I think that's going to be cemented today.
I have to agree with you. Max has been fantastic today and all the past few races. So I would definitely, I would call Max my driver of the day.
And I think my third driver of notable mention would be Miguel Santiago Carew. Certainly sat there in the top 10. A real return to form for him as well. So well done, Miguel.
Yeah. How many laps left, Martin? Is this the last lap, or have we got one more after this?
So Max is currently just going through the final chicane at Variante Alta, and then coming down final corner. So it'll be close, but I think this is going to be one more lap after this. I think he's going to do this in 6 seconds. Through that to 2. Yep, so Max goes on to the final lap now. So Ralph's got this and one more to make his way past Van Sond.
No, he's taking the checkered flag. This is the final lap.
Wow, okay. I wonder if Max did that on purpose and slowed down before the flag. So, there we go. Cracking race from Max Beyer. What a performance from him. David Dhoore comes home in second. Again, cracking performance. James Mead in third. We expect no less from James these days. Cliff Bulcke fourth, De Kaiser fifth, and then this battle of Van Sond and Arella. Another sponge performance from Yves Van Sond takes 6th place ahead of Ralf Arella. But Max Beyer crossed the line.
Well done, Max.
I honestly thought it'd be another lap there, but obviously that drag to the line obviously took longer than we thought. So Max Beyer is your race winner from David Dhoore, James Mead. Cliff Bulcke with trying to throw the strategist out the window, went 4th from that fantastic pole position, but a good race from him. And then Amadeo De Kaiser there in 5th, fastest lap by 3/10, a 1:42.0 for Amadeo, finishes 5th. Van Sond and Arella 6th and 7th. Then Deprataire, who been on it pretty much all race as well, but had various battles, finds himself now down in 8th position from Mackenberg in 9th, and Santiago Carew rounds out your top 10. Just to go through the field, give you a rundown. Pavlicek 11th. In fact, I won't give you that because as people check out the server, it'll all start throwing my readings down. So
Yep. I hate to be in the driver debrief for Team WRT. That is going to be an awkward one.
Yeah,
that
the cool down room.
An awkward one. What happened to WRT this evening?
Oh, dead mode is Sev. Thank you, Sev, for all your information, man, today. That's been a great watch. And Seb Vettel driver. Yeah, I know, but, you know, if he can't be bothered to turn up to our race, he's not really driver of the day, is he? Let's be honest. He had plenty of time after the race today in Abu Dhabi to crack out a laptop and get on board, didn't he? But he didn't, so there you go. Right, let's stick the highlights on while we wait for some people, hopefully, to join us after that immense race. Jack, thank you for joining me today, mate. That's been epic.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed myself.
Good.
Yeah, it was nice. It was very nice. Thank you all for having me on board. I hope you enjoyed. Let's see if we can get some people in here for a little bit of a chat. It'd be fantastic to have Cliff join us in here and for a quick interview, but something tells me he's straight into the shower room. He's already got a taxi called. He's got pizza and a bottle of wine on the way to his hotel room as we speak. And this will be one that he let slip through his fingers, unfortunately.
Here's the start then, Cliff Bulcke. Max. Look at the spray. You can, as you said, it's so difficult. Max already through by the time he even got to the first corner. James likes to chat. Not surprised if James pops into the room as well.
A wild Miguelito has appeared. How are you, Miguel?
I have a smile on my face.
Good. Fantastic drive from you, my friend. Fantastic driving. Absolutely epic battle with Mr. Bulcke, Jim Britton himself. How was that for you?
Yeah, that was really nice. I just said in the chat, sometimes I was a bit over the limit, I feel, but yeah, in the end, I got him cleanly, so that was a lot of fun.
It was epic. We watched you for lap after lap, and you were just calculated, and you patiently waited, and then there were a few laps where you were 3/10 behind for a while, then you were 2/10 behind, and then 1/10 behind. And I was saying to Martin in the commentary box, it's like he's going to have to send it. He's being too polite. He's just going to have to send it, because Jim usually is, when he's in control of the car, he can soak up the pressure tremendously. So, and then there was a moment where Jim just had a slight wiggle on the tail, and then the lap or two that preceded that mistake, where was the lap that you just took advantage and managed to get the pass done completely cleanly. It was well deserved. Fantastic driving from you.
Yeah, thanks. That was really big fun. I lost a lot of time because I could have gotten Marvin, pretty sure, because I caught him about 1 second per lap after I passed Jim. But no, in the end, I'm happy and happy to take some points for Team URL, because I haven't been contributing really to the points haul, and Robert is not here today, so I had to do something.
Well said, well deserved as well. And we also have Andre Bergsma here in the commentary box with us. Andre,
hey guys.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Oh man, this race was so much fun for me. It was just great.
Yeah, that's.
I finished P17, but in the beginning I was doing really careful in the wet, but I just made a stupid mistake. I should have stayed out 5 more laps on the wets, I think.
Yeah, you pitted quite early for slicks, didn't you? You were one of the first runners to make that call, I think.
Well, I just thought, well, let's do it. But I forgot one thing, that you couldn't make it on the fuel from that point. So
I see. Did you stop a second time?
Yeah. So I decided to pit early and take new tires.
Yep.
As well. So I was one of the only guys on new tires at the end, I think. So I was just I was in the top, driving in the top 10, and I was just keeping pace with them. Like I was doing low 43s. But I was running P20 or something, so I had to fight back to P17, but it was really fun.
Epic. And this, I mean, I can only imagine for what it was like for you guys sitting on the grid after a wet qualifying and seeing the weather forecast. James, you joined us in the commentary box here. Just can you explain to us what was going through your mind there when you were sitting on the line waiting for the race to begin, seeing the weather forecast?
A lot of panic, to be honest. I was praying for dry, and yeah, I got it in the end, but yeah, wet in the Audi is quite scary, as you probably well know.
Yes. I mean, it was a fantastic race from you, though, James. I've got to say, you were very quick, especially when the track started to dry up a little bit. Just tell us what was your thinking to the race? So you started the race on the wets, presumably. Head down, trying to keep out of trouble, trying to make up some positions. What was the moment that made you decide, okay, now's the point where I should pit for slick tires?
Well, I know you can get a lot of graining if you pit too early, so I was just waiting for a green track, and then it was just waiting for how much fuel I could take at the end to max it out as early as possible. And they came at the same time, but I was very sweaty at the end because I was calculating my fuel, and I was fuel saving for the last 10 laps, and I'd crossed the line with only just enough, so I was rolling then at the end.
Well done. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was you guys, when you have a moment, whether it's later this evening, tomorrow, or throughout the week, I'm sure you're going to be glued to the screen to watch the broadcast back, but so many different strategies going on throughout the field. This is the kind of race that, for myself as a driver and as someone watching a race, variable conditions, lots of back markers, variable, lots of different strategies. It was an amazing race. It's something that was the whole 90 minutes of the race just absolutely flew by.
Just to add to that, like with 10 minutes to go, we thought the race was kind of starting to settle down, and then we looked in the pits and saw the two WRT guys pulling in for fuel, and they shot. Oh my God, we didn't even realise that was a possibility.
Yeah, I was watching for that because I knew they'd pitted earlier than me, and I was thinking, there's no way they can last. They have to pit. And it was getting closer to the end. I was thinking, if they don't pit, they need to tell me what they've figured out on this Audi because they need to pit. And when I saw them, I was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, exactly the same here. It was, actually, I finished my quali a bit too early. So I already saw on the forecast that it would become dry in 30 minutes. So I actually started with only 60 liters.
Yep.
And made sure to put my drive pressures in some preset. And then it was just holding on until I could fill up the tank. So for me, it was actually quite easy in terms of thinking. But those wet tires were screaming hot before I came in.
Were the tires starting to overheat as it was still raining slightly, or was it after until it completely stopped raining?
After, yeah.
It was after.
Yeah.
Because I noticed it didn't seem to be raining too heavily from where we were sitting in the comms box, as opposed to in qualifying. It seemed to be at its heaviest kind of towards the beginning in the middle of the qualifying session, and ever since then, rain was just slowly dying off.
Yeah, it was a little bit easier throughout, just peeling off a little bit more. But yeah, just the same. The end of that wet stint, when it was dry, there was no grip whatsoever. I think I had like 37 psi and just bright red tires. So it was just hold on and try not to bin it. That was basically my attitude.
Fantastic. Great strategy. That's the way to do it. Well, it was an absolutely sensational race. Thank the three of you for joining us in the commentary box. Is there anything else that the three of you would like to say? Would you like to shout out to those who you were racing on track? Any good moments? Any memorable things happen?
I needed one more lap to catch Andre Mol, but
the battle of the Andres.
I was 3 seconds per lap quicker than him. He was probably fuel saving or something.
Yeah, shout out to Andre Mol, because I think he finished P16. Is that right?
Yeah.
Congratulations, Andre Mol.
I finished half a second behind him. But...
Very, very close.
But yeah, really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Cliff Bulcke as well. We had a few good little battles into that same hairpin. Especially it was a little bit scary with that back marker the second time, and very nice racing room and everything for him, nice and fair.
James, were you surprised at the start to see Cliff literally drop through the field like a stone? Because we still don't know if he had dry tyres on at the start. So
he must have.
Yeah, you guys reckon he started on slicks?
He's saying in the chat he was starting on slicks.
Because if that's the case, there were some epic laps on what was a wet track to drive that with the slick tyres. That was
it was still very quick. I was baffled that then he came storming past.
Yep.
And then I thought, how could he keep up? Because he was right behind me, I think, for quite some time, and I was on wet tires, and my pressures were fine. So was very weird. But for me, a shout out to Jim Britton, of course, and Jody Barraclough I had some good battles with as well in the beginning. So
nice, awesome.
And I'll just give you a last quick one. A shout out to you guys as well. Awesome job in the commentary box. Sad to see you not on the track, Jack, but it's great. I'll be watching it back, and it's an awesome job by all of you at RRL. So yeah, thanks for putting this on.
Thanks, James.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you what, if you want to watch a race back, this is the one to watch, because Jack just must bring the drama and the excitement, because this really was something else to watch. It was really, really good. So enjoy your viewing later on.
Was lap 1 was pretty clean from where I was starting. Was it good?
Seemed okay. I think we only had one spinner, and it was all by himself. I believe it was Nicholas Wicklander at the chicane. I think he just took too much curb on the inside and lost the rear of the car.
Yeah. Right.
But apart from that, I think that was it. But the stewards will have a look. As always, they will check out the first lap and any incidents that have been submitted from the other drivers. But for a busy wet track, I think it looked pretty good from where we were sitting.
Are you trying to suggest we should make it rain every race, Miguel, so we have a clean lap 1?
Well, we'll see at Spa.
Anyway, guys, as Jack said, thanks again for joining us in the commentary box, and thanks for your performances today. It's been an epic watch for us more than anything, as well as for you. So thanks again, and we'll let you go and have your showers now.
Thank you, guys.
See you in 2 weeks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Amazing, absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed tonight, Martin, and such amazing racing from all the competitors as well. I mean, still another really well-attended session here.
Yeah.
For the GT3 Masters by RR Leagues.
I have to say,
we're only 1 round away from the finale. Can you believe it? The finale is in 2 weeks.
I know. I have to say, I've lost a little bit today because not only are you a better driver than me, I also think you're a better commentator than me today.
No, shut your face.
No, I do,
Be
man.
quiet. I just talk. I talk for my work. I talk for a living, so...
You've really added to the stream.
I'm very excitable. So
really added to the stream, and with what has been a fantastic race, man. I think we've made the best production we've done so far tonight. That's been
hell
epic.
yeah, man! That's a
Hell
great
yeah.
team. That's teamwork, man. Love it.
I'm sorry you couldn't be out on track though, because I know you would have enjoyed that today. But it was great to have you up
no,
here.
it's all good. Hey, this was the second best place to be, man. So I'm happy.
Good stuff.
With that said and done, I will leave you to close out the stream. Thank you very much for having me, Martin. Thank you for having me, everybody else. I will catch up with you all in the Discord. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Jack. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, mate.
So Jack leaves us what has been a fantastic race. I could watch this back again and again and again. This will go down as one of the classic races we've had at RRL, and we've had so many. But honestly, if that doesn't get you to give us a thumbs up at the end, then you should do. And if you want to subscribe for more stuff like that, then why haven't you already? I'm literally gobsmacked. I still can't believe that I saw the 2 WRT guys in at the end for fuel. I hadn't even thought about it. But anyway, there you go. It's getting late. We'll let the replays play out. It's not long to go now before the end of the highlights. Thanks for all the guys that joined us in chat. Thanks for everybody that raced tonight. I hope you all had a cracking time. I'm sure there'll be some stories in the chat afterwards. But keep it all clean and keep it sweet, because what we've seen today has been amazing. Thanks, guys, and take care of yourselves and enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you, as Jack said, in a fortnight's time from Spa for the finale. Take care, guys. Bye.